What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're tackling some r/legal advice. I've only tried this once before on the channel, and I totally messed it up because I didn't include comments afterwards, but this time I have, so hopefully you enjoy it. If you're part of the 39.8% that's still not subscribed, why on earth not? I'm only kidding. But if you do enjoy the content, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell, as it massively helps our little channel out. And don't forget to add your own personal posts to r/daddycringe, where we read them out on Subscriber Sunday. Also, don't forget to join our Discord as well. We've got a whole bunch of lovely people in there who are just great. And with all that being said, here is today's stories, and let's get straight into them. Much love, guys. This story is titled, Negligent Apartment Fixed Leak by Balancing a Large Bucket on a Beam Which Crashed Through My Bedroom Ceiling. When I got home from work last night, I noticed my ceiling had leaked in the bedroom and there was a small hole. I submitted a maintenance request right away because the office was closed. It was not received. It had been raining for a few days and still was raining, but the leak was minor, so I put a container and towel under it and left it until the morning. Then at 3 AM this morning, I woke up to a loud crash and then was splashed with gallons of freezing cold, stinking fetid water. A 5-gallon bucket full of water had fallen through my ceiling. After I finished having a heart attack, I inspected the hole, which was large enough for me to fit through without even touching the edges, and found that someone had balanced a bucket on a beam under a leak in the roof instead of actually fixing it. I should note that this beam supports a main electrical line and the main fire suppression system. This tells me that they knew about the leak for a long time, long enough to fill up a bucket with rainwater, probably since before I had moved in, about 16 months ago. And rather than fixing it, they put a bucket up there. There was a small length of board cut to the diameter of the bucket to help balance it. Seems like a lot of effort to not fix something. If this had fallen on me, it could have killed me. The carpet is ruined and stinking, and it ruined a number of books and my childhood school yearbooks. I took pictures of the damage and called the emergency maintenance number. They said they would deal with it in the morning and denied knowing about the leak, and that the bucket was up there on purpose. I'm not so worried about the damage. What really gets me is the negligence, and I no longer consider the place safe. What other ticking time bombs are there in this joint? In the morning, I plan to contact the property manager and demand a full inspection. What are my options? Should I lawyer up? I want out of here. Can I get out of the lease without getting wrung out? Should I demand they house me somewhere else in the meantime? Shouldn't I report this to the city or something? I'm not sure what my next step should be. All advice is much appreciated. Thanks. Then one of the comments below said, don't know about the damages, but I'll call your local code enforcement office as well. Followed by, plumber here. We deal with a lot of apartments and management companies. You're in no way responsible. Speak with the leasing office first to see who put a bucket under it. If it was the maintenance guys, then the apartment is responsible. If it was their contracted plumbing company, then it's on them. If you still aren't getting anywhere with that, go to the city and file a complaint. And the last comment we'll read on this one, I've seen drip pans for leaky condensing lines, network cable runs used to put me in a lot of false ceilings. I think that's the kind of standard operating procedure for such things, right? In this case, a bucket doesn't have the surface area to aid in evaporation, so that's a boneheaded manoeuvre number 1. Number 2, I've never seen a hole in the roof solved this way. That's always a patch job from my limited understanding, right? And I'd also like to know if you guys have ever had a dodgy apartment where you've had something break and you've had to deal with the landlord. Have you ever dealt with a shitty landlord before? I would love to know in the comments below. Our next story is called, Parents bought a house for roughly $500,000. Neighbour in the back thinks a chunk of their property is his because he planted trees on it and took care of it for 20 years before they bought it. Now he wants them to give it to them. Hi there, I'm not too familiar with this subreddit, but I was given some advice to come here, to at least get some direction on this situation. Any help with what information I have would be appreciated. Also, apologies for any mistakes on my mobile. So for a bit of background on this, last year my parents were looking to buy a house and settled on one with a HOA in Overland Park KS. They quite literally closed on it a few days after Christmas. Currently, my mother is the one living there and she is working abroad while my sister works towards finishing her last term as a senior in high school, which we hope the closing for COVID-19 won't delay, but nothing is ever easy in the town my mother to live in. My sister lives with my father in that town, so he has to make a 6 to 8 hour commute every weekend to handle projects for my mother, as she is an administrator at a local hospital while consistently being on call. They are looking to repair an electric fence to keep their dogs within the property for when my sister graduates and they all move down there. They needed to submit a plan and a map done by a professional surveyor to be allowed to bring in anyone who can work on it. That is where the trouble has begun. While the surveyor was outside doing their job on the very backside of their backyard, my mother's rear neighbour came outside and shouted at them to leave his property and they had better not be planning on building anything on it. Apparently, he had planted about 8 trees, I do not remember an exact number, on what he believed to be his property 20 years ago and has been taking care of it ever since. The previous owners never brought this up with him. Now, my father is a prickly person and does not do diplomacy very well, but he apparently called him this morning to figure things out. This neighbourhood is apparently acknowledged he never paid for this property, nor legally owns it, but he wants my parents to give it him for free, as he has been taking care of it for so long. My father was indignant at this, demanding to be paid if he wants it that badly, noting not a single contract either of them has ever signed has given him any right to the property. I should note, these are not the only property issues they currently having after moving here. Another neighbour to their left had not followed HOA guidelines when he built a pocket fence 5 feet inside his line, and the HOA is telling both my parents and him that the electric fence and his have to meet the property line, though he is demanding we leave an alleyway type of space. Further, this all happened with a rear neighbour literally this morning, and the HOA has not had time to input my knowledge. The top comment on this post was, for the rear neighbour's claim, your parents are in get a property lawyer territory, because adverse possession in Kansas is 15 years and might apply here. That also might allow your parents to recoup a portion of their sales price from the sellers, if they knowingly allowed an adverse possession to occur and didn't inform buyers. The seller's real estate agent might also be on the hook. The fence issue will depend on the CC&R, and it seems like the neighbour has had the real problem here, since your parents can't start their fence until the other issue is settled first anyway. The OP replied to this, to my knowledge, at least half if not all the trees are inside the broken fence. The wire itself is largely intact, especially on the rear. It's just that there is a hairline split somewhere that we need a professional to find. Along with being prickly, my father is always fairly sparse on details having to do with finances and the like. I haven't been able to speak with my mother as she has been working overtime to deal with preparing her hospital for COVID-19. Cases they predict to be incoming, and between the two of them, she's always been the one to handle the finances in my family. Their neighbour is an attorney, we've discovered, though not a real estate one, so he's currently getting a lawyer. The next comment we see on this is, definitely get a property lawyer on this. Hell, the other guy is a lawyer getting a property lawyer. That being said, I'm not sure that taking care of the trees is enough of activity to claim adverse possession. I mean, did he mow the area? Weed whack it? Can he prove he planted the trees? Trees grow, man. That's what they do, right? As far as legal costs go, I think there is insurance and warranties for this sort of thing, so hopefully you don't have to pay for the lawyer yourself. And again, have you guys ever had any issues with nightmare neighbours like this? It's neighbours like this that just don't seem to have anything better to do with their lives, so they're just trying to make your life hell. Have you guys ever had to deal with one of those? Our next story is titled, Girlfriend's work lost her sexual harassment report, then tells her it's over and she's being written up for work deficiencies. This happened in California. My girlfriend recently filed a sexual harassment report with her company after repeated inappropriate conversations, unwanted pictures, touching and hugging, and all around creepy behaviour that makes her uncomfortable by some of the males at her job. Upon asking one of her supervisors how to submit the report, she and another girl who had similar issues were immediately taken to HR. She filed the report and chose to remain anonymous on all the HR paperwork. A few days down the road, she is told by HR that both reports have gone missing and they think it was another supervisor that has misplaced it. The supervisor is a different one than the one that had taken her to HR, and in my opinion, should have had nothing to do with handling her reports. After being told that HR lost the report, the HR lady then goes on to say that she will talk to the specific guys at work and will tell them specifically that they aren't allowed to retaliate against my girlfriend, even though it was against her wishes to disclose her name to everyone. The HR lady seemed to be going to do it anyway. It's now about a week later, after everyone has been particularly bitter and mean to her throughout the week for no apparent reason. The head supervisor for her department comes down and says they need to talk. In the meeting is my girlfriend, the head supervisor, another supervisor, and HR. The head supervisor is the only one that talks and starts off with, that, name removed, crap is done and cleared, it's over now. Then continues into how my girlfriend's work ethic, conduct and paperwork has all been messed up since she got there and they are going to write her up. She's never received any negative paperwork from the company and has only gotten an arse chewing when she was late due to circumstances out of her control. The supervisor is pointing out things that has never been brought to her attention as to being erroneous and is now using it as a tool to write her up. Naturally, she feels confused and angry about the whole situation. From other supervisors having hands on a report to losing a report and getting written up for bullshit. Part of the things she was being written up for, she had nothing to do with. What are her options here? From what I've been able to find, she can submit a complaint through the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. Any help is appreciated. The top comment on this one is, this is retaliation and she needs to get a lawyer yesterday. HR did exactly what they were taught not to do in every classroom any of them ever went to. I did 2 years of HR in school and my HR instructor would absolutely cry laughing how much they just opened themselves to a giant lawsuit. Get a lawyer, they made their bed and put it in writing, document everything. I can't remember the terminology for HR retaliation and it's driving me nuts right now. OP, you said that some of the documentation is an email. If it is with a work email, do not rely on that as a documented location. She should forward it to her personal email if permitted by the rules set up for the use of the email. Or at the very least take photos of the email, print them out as well. If they have a habit of losing things, losing your emails is also possible. This for sure, I had a situation I filed grievance against 2 of my supervisors a few years ago. About 20 emails disappeared from my inbox before I thought to try and forward or print them. Those emails would have locked my case so tight any dummy would have sided with me or been laughed out of the agency. I learned the hard way, print, save, copy in multiple places. And our final comment on this one. I'm not a lawyer, I'm a compliance officer who specialises in privacy investigations. To be very honest, retaliation suits are hard as fuck to prove. Sad but true. I say this as the jerk who is generally responsible for defending the case alongside HR and legal, but it's not impossible, so you must. Number 1, document everything, including times, dates, witnesses, what was said and done, and who said it or did it. Remain factual, no I think or speculation. Just because a report disappeared doesn't mean it didn't happen, which brings me to number 2, rewrite the report and email it to HR, documenting the fact that the last one was allegedly lost and you want to ensure this one isn't. Number 3, print or back up to a drive all emails on the company computers that are yours, that prove what happened. That shit will disappear the minute they fire you, which, number 4, they are going to terminate you or make your life so bad you quit. They will start building a case now and every infraction will be documented and used to rebuttal your argument of retaliation. Your documentation needs to be better, get witnesses willing to corroborate. If recording without consent isn't legal in your state, then those recordings may not be enough. Also, audio only can be hard to prove who is who. Number 5, if your employer has a hotline, report it there too. It will create a record they cannot lose. Number 6, talk to a real lawyer. They will also tell you to document everything. And there's some top tips right there, just for life in general. Document everything. And that brings me to this question, if you've ever faced any sort of discrimination case within your work. I love hearing your personal stories. I love seeing those down in the comments below, how you can relate to these stories. That's what I love about these kinds of videos. And our next story is titled, After declining/refusing to clean myself with cleaning spray or bleach wipes, management put cleaning chemicals in a hand sanitizer container without our knowledge, resulting in us using it without being aware it contained toxic chemicals. A few days ago, I posted here regarding the order to bathe ourselves with chemical cleaning spray or bleach wipes. I spoke with my boss regarding the order, who said that he was unaware the client gave us the order. I requested a substitute like washing hands with soap or using hand sanitizer, and he said he would get back to me. He didn't. That's typical. Today, I went to use the hand sanitizer and it wasn't sanitizer. It caused a burning sensation immediately and made my hands very sticky. I immediately went downstairs to wash them, and soap and water did nothing. It couldn't wash the liquid off. My skin is peeling and in serious pain. I put gloves on and the gloves are being discoloured from the chemicals on my skin. I'm not sure what the chemicals are. It's an orange liquid in the container. It fizzes out white and returns to liquid as clear. It burns my skin after application. After smelling, the fumes went into my eyes and caused my eyes to start tearing and burning. I put some into a bag to bring to a doctor. I work in law enforcement. I cannot leave the site until someone is here to relieve me. I've texted my boss and waiting to hear back, but it's currently almost 2 AM. I'm waiting on hold with poison control. I was on hold for 20 minutes and they hung up. Now I'm on hold a second time. What do I do now? And our first comment says, file a workers' comp claim with your actual employer. And then call OHS. You cannot alter the substance to bottles without them being properly labelled, and the MSDS must be available. And another comment says, you've been poisoned. Many chemicals can be absorbed into the bloodstream through the skin and can cause serious medical problems, including organ failure. Unlikely this one is that bad, but don't take any chances. Ambulance now, lawyer tomorrow. If you're in a union, let them know. If paramedics tell you they need to take you to hospital, go. Screw the worksite and the client. What kind of crazy company changes the chemicals in a soap unit to something like bleach or whatever this is that actually burns skin? That person must have known. Come on, man. I've worked in a warehouse environment in the past, and as I say, I'm no lawyer or anything like that, but the first thing that immediately popped into my head is MSDS from whatever chemical they've been using. Because if it's toxic, it will say it on the MSDS, which stands for Material Safety Data Sheet, of course, and it shows basically everything that's in the substance. Boiling point is flame point, all that sort of stuff, and its reactivity to everything. So it will tell you everything about that chemical. I'd get that immediately and deal with the company. Money. Our next story is titled, Wedding photographer had been giving us the runaround for 4 months. Informed us today she lost all of our images. I'm in West Virginia. What on earth can I do? My wife is devastated. The photographer has lied and made excuses every couple of weeks with moving deadlines, and I sent it last week. Didn't you get them? We received our sneak peek, which was only 25 pictures, but it didn't include any pictures of the bride and her family. I understand a refund is given, even though she has not offered it. She offered a free family shoot. Get the fuck out of here. Is there a legal recourse on getting more than our refund back due to the impact this will cause and the fact we will never have pictures of our wedding day? Even the refund is going to have to go to court, I feel. The photographer made sure to mention in the apology message that she is working 3 jobs and falling behind just to make ends meet. Then one of the comments said, other than suing the photographer for a refund, there are a couple of mitigating measures you can try. Number 1, as someone said, make sure the photographer has explored every data recovery option. If it costs money though, ask them what will cost more, data recovery or refund. Number 2, contact other guests who were at the wedding, explain the situation, ask them to send you a copy of every photo they took. Even cell phone photos are better than nothing. There might be a few that are what you are looking for. Yes, if the photographer has the physical cards the wedding was shot on and the hard drive those cards may have been captured to, both of those sources could potentially be mined by data recovery software. Just to add to this, professional data recovery is fucking expensive, so there is a chance she's giving you the runaround to avoid the cost if she still has storage media and files were deleted or corrupted. Then back to the OP who edited the post. Hey guys, too many replies to acknowledge. I've reached out to a lawyer, as many of you implied. There is definitely more to this story. Something just isn't right, but I don't know what happened on her side of things. She's made so many excuses along the way. She even claimed at one point she mailed the USB drive. It never came. And when we told her it never arrived, she claimed she'd have to do the work all over again, but she would ASAP. She was young and fairly cheap, but not like $200 cheap, it was around $1,000 total. Everything has felt off the whole way, after the wedding that is. She was great the whole time, but I never expected this. She claims that this morning she was trying to make us a new jump drive, and that's when she realised, just last night, her whole system corrupted and almost all her files for the last year, all of her projects for all of her clients. It sounded pretty insane to me. After reading other professionals' comments here, I can see it is. Double edit, we had a strict no cell phone / camera pictures rule. No one has any pictures. Oh my god, how insane is that? In some way, I know I shouldn't. I feel somewhat little tiny bit. Don't get on my back about this. Sorry for the photographer. Imagine if she is trying to work 3 jobs. I don't know whether she is. This could be just bullshit, you know. But someone trying to work 3 jobs, make ends meet, but at the same time, you practically just ruin the memories of someone's wedding if you're not a professional. It sort of jumps out to me that this is someone who's just trying to make a little side money, you know. Ah, dear. How would you deal with that situation if a photographer on your wedding day lost all your photos? How would you react to that? What would you do? Let me know in the comments below, please. Our next story is titled, California. I was reprimanded by HR for sexism and racism by an upset coworker. How do I protect myself? I posted this in another subreddit for advice, but was advised to seek legal. Sorry for being vague, I'll try to provide relevant details without outing myself. I'm a lead engineer at my company. Part of my job is to provide feedback on their yearly performance to my teammates and also help them progress in their career within the company. Last year, an experienced engineer, Kate, from another team within the company was transferred into my team. Kate is a licensed professional engineer. She's an excellent sales engineer and consultant. However, Kate's actual technical, engineering and math skills are a bit rusty. Since she joined, she had made several critical errors in her work. When corrected, she would argue with other teammates and insist she's right. One of the best engineers in my team had to request time off because of the stress Kate caused her to experience. During our annual performance review, I told Kate that she needs to learn to get along with others. Her being disagreeable is hurting the team's morale. I also told Kate that I was putting her under supervision of another team member. The team member will help Kate get caught up with the latest technologies and answer any questions she may have. This supervision would only be temporary until she caught up. The team member is a relatively junior employee compared to Kate, but he knows what he is doing and is a decent person. I thought that my review was fair, however, Kate took offence and reported me to HR. Ultimately, I was reprimanded by HR, had my annual bonus withheld and required to go for implicit bias training. I was accused of being biased towards Kate, who is a minority. Despite having recorded my annual review meeting with Kate and having other teammates who would back me up, HR refused to listen to them. I believe part of the reason HR sided with Kate is because the HR manager is a close personal friends with Kate. For personal reasons, it'd be hard on me to move somewhere else to get another job. I also have a non-compete contract with a company that stops me from joining a few competitors that are in the market. If possible, I would like to continue working for the company. However, I'd like to know how I could legally protect myself and my professional reputation if I ever need to. Regarding the comment about non-compete agreement, they are void in CA, so you're able to look at jobs freely. CA lawyer, but not an employment lawyer. Non-competes aren't just void in CA, they're illegal in most circumstances. My understanding is that employee-side attorneys in CA sometimes take the position that below statutes. Read together, allow employees to be paid a penalty for inclusion of an illegal term in an employment contract. Not saying that you should pursue this, just that it's out there. You'd want a CA employee-side employment attorney to evaluate, and it's sure to burn bridges. And another comment says, if the situation is as you say, and HR is biased towards Kate, working with HR is going to be a battle that is not worth fighting. At this point, you have to do what they say, as far as the bias training goes, so don't fight that. What I would suggest is going around HR to your direct supervisor or someone up the chain of command that you feel comfortable with and asking for coaching on the matter. Tell them that you had this situation come up with an employee review and you'd like to know that in the future how to perform better in this situation. Perhaps mention that some of the situations surround engineering competencies that HR, not being engineers, hasn't been able to give you appropriate guidance about and how to address this with an employee, because it sounds like that actually is something Kate struggles with. Since you have the tape, you should be able to have them listen to it and give you their feedback. Maybe there is something that you're actually doing that needs to be improved upon, and this is a great time to get feedback on that. If they think everything you did was totally appropriate, ask them if they can offer you any assistance and backup with dealing with HR. If you can't get things to improve, you need to get out. Have an employee that has free rein to screw up because they know someone is a toxic situation. It will reflect poorly on you and your team, and there won't be much to do about it. Many non-compete agreements are sketchy, and with the appropriate advice of an attorney, you may be able to find a way around yours. You should not attempt to violate a non-compete without talking to an attorney, however. Sorry you have to deal with this. I find that insane because someone's friends with a HR, that they can get away with everything. How? You'd have thought someone, like, as they said, above the chain of command would be looking at this and saying, like, they're close friends. There's something not quite right here. Absolute madness. Our next story is titled, eBay user, Washington, US, purchased $9,000 collectible card, requested refund after receiving authentic card and returned a counterfeit, falsely claiming to have received the counterfeit. eBay is siding with the buyer. Background: the seller, an acquaintance. The seller lives in Orlando, Florida, and sells thousands of collectible game cards online. He has a great reputation on eBay, 100% positive with over 1,600 transactions, and has sold expensive cards worth thousands of dollars previously without any issues. I've previously bought expensive cards from the seller and have more recently exchanged messages with him about the situation. Since he is busy with work, I'm trying to help him get more information from the knowledgeable users here. The buyer, more recently someone from Tacoma, WA, with an extensive criminal history, as we later found out, purchased a $9,000 card from him on eBay. After receiving the card, the buyer initiated a return/refund request, stating that he believed the card that was sent to him was counterfeit. The seller approved the request and requested a counterfeit version of the card a few days later, not the authentic version he, the seller, had sent out. eBay support is siding with a scamming buyer. Videos. The seller has a video of him packing up the card prior to shipping it. The buyer has a video of him opening the box in a game store. Comparing the two videos, there are several indications, e.g. orientation, wear of the packaging materials, that the buyer removed the authentic card, inserted the counterfeit and repackaged the box prior to filming his unboxing. I doubt it matters, but the buyer paid a well-known YouTuber and salesperson in the card collecting community, the YouTuber, to determine the authenticity of the counterfeit card that the buyer falsely claimed to have received. This YouTuber video recorded his authentication process, interviewed the buyer, and took his side in the uploaded video whilst falsely accusing the seller of being the scammer. This caused the seller to upload a set of 3 videos documenting his experience of being scammed and him wanting to defend his reputation. The YouTuber has since taken his video down, and the buyer has also taken down his store unboxing video. Several people have downloaded and rehosted these videos, however. Questions. 1. Is there any legal avenue that the seller can take to get his money back, or is he shit out of luck? 2. Is this a criminal or civil matter? What kind of laws did the buyer violate? 3. Does the seller have to sue the buyer in WA or FL? 4. What kind of attorney specialization should the seller consult with? And 5. Should the seller also sue eBay since they wrongly sided with a scamming buyer and force the seller to return the money? Our first comment says, question, did your seller have a unique identifiers to back up his proof, serial number, authentication number, and some sort of legitimate identifier? If he had this, it would make it much easier for him to prove to eBay or in court that the scammer did a bait and switch. OP replies, no, unfortunately the card hasn't been graded. Why didn't the seller grade or have the authenticator for a card valued at $9,000? It really doesn't make any sense to me, since high profile sellers of highly valued goods do make sure that they are, so they are safeguarded from scams like baiting and switching. To which another commenter replied, there are plenty of reasons for not grading cards, even very valuable ones. If you have a Black Lotus in hand and you wish to have it graded, the idea of having it shipped out of sight for a week isn't very appealing, even with insurance. For example, I'm in the middle of a case myself with UPS, who delivered 2 boxes of Warhammer miniatures to the wrong address, and those people sold them. If that had happened to a Black Lotus, I'd be besides myself. On the other hand, I certainly wouldn't sell expensive items on eBay due to their horrible policies. And another comment said, I would think that there's a chance this card will come up on the market, watch for it, document the other ones like, i.e. where they're at and who's got them, and this is third one, or whatever is the stolen one. Seller could use a high quality camera setup to photograph the card, macro photography, that really captures the fine details, and a time/date system, such as using 2 email accounts to send the photo. This would be better than the video. Damn man, I could never imagine putting a $9,000 item on eBay. I imagine it happens all the time, and obviously this guy's a very professional guy at what he does, but that just scares the hell out of me. $9,000 just being sent out in the post. For $9,000, I'd fly over from the UK and deliver that to you in your hand. What do you guys make of that story? Do you guys ever trade in high value goods? Is there anyone who does that? I would love to know below. Once again guys, thank you so much for being here. The time out of your day means the absolute world to me and this channel and this community. It's your comments that keep me going below, and it's just absolutely amazing. It blows my mind every time I post a video to see the same names, new people turn up, commenting, and I can't explain. It gets me all emotional when I think about it. It's ridiculous, right? Thank you so much for being here. Love you all. Have a great day now and stay safe. Much love.